for these witnesses, as the court pleases. Morning, sir.
Yeah, well, morning.
Now, during your interaction with Mr. Mgomezulu, you said something profound regarding the searching of a suspect for cell phones, and then he said something in isiZulu which I didn't understand, that to the effect that a cell phone or something to that effect. I want you to start from there and clarify that for me.
Can you just tell us a lot?
Kunjalo, amaphoyisa amaningi ngobudedengu abenzayo ngokuyekela abamangalelwa kanye abasolwa kanye ngekhala kanye ngama cell phones bazithola baku-ambush, lento leyo ukuthi bahlaselwe bangazi.
So police, by the carelessness of not searching suspects for phones or weapons, sometimes find themselves in the predicament of being attacked without their knowledge.
Now, during your evidence during the trial, within the trial, you testified that amongst other duties in respect of this case, 636 of 10/2014 being a forced arrest case, you were in a working relationship with the national court cases to escort high-profile suspects. Is that correct?
Is this correct?
Okay. I'll come back to the issue of this cell phone towards the end, but what is important for now, just to put it in your mind to mull over it whilst you are going through these other questions. Sergeant Mohani has testified in this court that he arrested accused two, him and the late Sergeant Mabena, on the 16th of June 2020. And at issue at the moment here is that accused number 2 says, as per the protocol that you have mentioned, that upon his arrest on the 16th of June 2020, Sergeant Mohani and Mabena confiscated 2 cell phones from him, which one of them is a Samsung J5 cell phone, and the other one is the sister's white phone, for which he has forgotten the make and the model.
Sergeant Mabena, in 2016, established program so to speak, the virtual cell phone number the Samsung, any cell phone and shop at the door.
As a conclusion, we get that suspect we don't understand what the relevance is of the evidence what these witnesses testify about, and we disagree with the questions.
My Lord, it is highly relevant. My learned colleague has jumped the gun. I was going to come to this witness. This witness also dealt with the escort of accused number 2 on the 18th when the car was allegedly stuck at Fairwood Park in Alberton, on the 19th when they went to Rapadu, on the 22nd when they went to Tlhabane Court, Magistrates Court, and Dr. Tlokwe's Dental Center, and on the 24th when he went to the magistrate, accused number 2 was escorted to the Magistrates Court. And the importance and the significance thereof is on these dates, it is alleged, or we don't even know when, but that the phone was on accused number 2. Now, let's go to the 18th of June 2020. And briefly tell this court your interaction with accused number 2 regarding the Toyota Fortuner that was transporting accused number 2 from Carltonville, Sibanye Stillwater Mines at Alberton. What was your interaction with that Toyota Fortuner? And secondly, I'll ask you about the accused. Let me keep the question brief.
In June 2020, who was able to win Toyota Fortuner, certainly you can solo space, Carltonville is on Alberton.
Nkosentantolo ukuthi eziyenza izinto bengasibhali phansi.
Yeah.
So angisakhumbuli lelo suku okhuluma ngalo.
Unfortunately, I'm unable to recall that particular day because I didn't write some of the things down.
Let me give you a brief background. Sergeant Mabena testified that from Carltonville, they took accused number 2 firstly to his workplace to verify his alibis on the 18th. So sorry for correction, Sergeant Mohani Mabena is now deceased.
No, Sergeant Mohani, I'm Mabena.
Right, and then upon completing whatever they were doing in Carltonville, Sibanye Stillwater Mine, they then proceeded to Alberton to do certain further investigations. And when they arrived there, unfortunately, the car experienced mechanical problems. And according to the AVL, it shows that from 3 minutes to 7 p.m., that car was in the vicinity of Mali Street at Engine Garage. Now, Sergeant Mohani testified that they tried to make the car to go up and down a bit, but they realized that it needed a mechanic. He therefore then contacted Brigadier Gininda to inform him that he's experiencing mechanical problems, and Gininda informed him that because this is a high-profile suspect, he must activate your SWAT team to come and escort them whilst they are stuck at the engine garage. That's when then now you enter into the picture. Does that now rejog your mind?
Engicela ukusho kummeli ukuthi so uSWAT abenza ama escort kwakungasimina ngeke. So ngalelo langalelo angicabanga ukuthi bangikhona.
Well, I was not the only one who was in the SWAT team, so on that particular day I was not there.
My instructions and from accused number 1 and from Mr. Mgomezu, with whom I worked during the trial, within the trial, he says he put it to you that you were there to escort this Toyota Fortuner. Even accused number 2 tells me you were present at that time. So,
okay. Ngicela inkantolo yazi ukuthi iToyota Fortuner lokhuluma ngayo ayizanga kanye okokuqala okanye kabili. Kunamalanga ebengikhona kuwo mang-escort, kunamalanga ebengingekho.
Well, the Toyota Fortuner did not come once or twice. What happens is that there were some days when I was present during the escorts, and there were some days when I was not present.
I readily concede to that because you've already said you provided escort services, and amongst other officers who came here was Lisa Ring, Jonathan, whom they know as Donald, and other people, but Mapumulo and them. But on this specific day, the 18th of June 2020, at Mali Street, Engine Garage, Alberton, Fairwood Park, you were present.
No, I'm unable to recall.
And you see, if I'm going to ask you a follow-up question to rejog your mind, which is the police's Bible, the SAP 206, the pocket book, you'll tell me that the unit was disbanded, therefore the pocket book also is disbanded. That's the answer I'm going to get.
No, because I SAP 206, every Bible, I would say that.
So do you have something that you wrote down regarding this incident so that you can refer to it, and I'm giving you my support to refer to a document that shows where were you on this day, because it's important for the questions that I want to pose to you.
Kukhona bengobhala kukhona engakubhala lelo laka lelo 18 June angikhumbule okokuqala lo okwes
like I said, there are some things that are right and things that are not right. So like I said, that particular day on the 18th of June, I'm unable to recall.
Okwesibili le Bible okhuluma ngalo fanele kube yiBhayibheli esinikwe emsebenzini ukumanje nje njoba ngimela kule nkantolo emsebenzini abasasinikezi ngoba imali iphelile.
Well, the Bible is referring to who were given at work, but like I tell you nowadays, we are not given those values because there is no money.
We are voting tomorrow. Appoint me the Minister of Police, then you'll see. Now, what really is the issue here, Mr. Sergeant Buteles, is this. The issues that I want to deal with you pertain to accused number 2 having in his possession as a high-profile suspect a cell phone whereby at Fairwood Park on this the 18th of June in the presence of the SWAT police officers that were escorting him, in the presence of Mabena and Mohani. He was making phone calls, he was receiving mobile terminating SMSs. He was receiving SMSs. Now my question is, how can that be for a high-profile suspect like this to have a phone in his possession during investigations in the presence of the police officers?
Firstly, the witness said he could not remember whether he was there on the 18th of June 2020. And second, he's being asked for an opinion. He submitted his opinion is irrelevant. It's called assist with the matter to precisely adjudicate on those issues.
Let me rephrase, my lord. As we sit here today, in relation to your working agreement, the SWAT Metropolis Ekurulin and the SAPS National Cold Case Unit, the capacity in which you escorted number 2, accused number 2, it's simply because, according to that mandate, he was a high-profile suspect. Is that not correct?
kuyiqiniso.
That is correct.
Let me park this day that you cannot recall. Let's go to the 19th of June 2020.
I said, 19th June 2020.
Did you provide escort services for accused number 2? And I'm going to be fair to you. On this day, the 19th of June 2020, accused number 2 was booked out from Pretoria North, SAPS, at 4:50 a.m., having arrived at that place at 2:35 a.m. from the place where the car was stuck at Alberton. Then he was booked out with the aim of taking him firstly to Fosloras Magistrate Court.
So on June 19th, with John, so this meeting, why can share Victoria North the 450 XA, who would Lapo station go 235 and I saw which were probably a model there, AI could be in the NS Alberton, who would get free so in the NS Fosloras.
Then on their way, that is Sergeant Mabena and Sergeant Mohani, on their way to Fosloras, Mohani testifies that they then received a call from Brigadier Gininda telling them to take a detour to Moroka police station because he had found Sergeant Rapadu, Colonel Rapadu, who was willing to assist with taking a confessional statement from accused number 2.
So I'm going to talk about the same but you're not going to oh, I tell you what you know, I'm a test with it. By the when you say Morocco, that's why we're going to why I said to me, Ubuti, and Tata statement, so so.
On this day, were you involved in the escort to Moroka police station for Colonel Rapadu? Do you recall this day?
I think what I open and expecting you are at police station to Colonel Rapadu. I do remember.
Now, it was you and who else from the SWAT unit who escorted this?
Angisakhumbula kanye kwakuJonathan naseside lesikhathi.
I am unable to recall whether it was Jonathan or not. It has been a long time.
Now you arrive at Moroka. Tell me the condition of accused number 2 with respect to his restraints, the handcuffs. How was he handcuffed before court?
We must have been again at Moroka. I'm telling you, some sort of speed. Maidana knows a post, which will facilitate knows a post.
Ilanga lami kulelo langa lelo angihlangananga okanye ngibonanga umsolo wesibili ngesizathu sokuthi umsebenzi wethu kule escort bokusweepa indlela.
It's because on that particular day our duty were to sweep the way.
Okwesibili mabengena police station so we safe haven, which means angeke kube nenkinga yokuthi mhlawumbe kudingwe kudingekale thina ngoba sebaphakathi police station.
And another thing is that once they arrive at the police station they are safe haven, which means that the need for us to be present was no longer there.
So laba babili uSergeant Mohane noMabena umoya waphulale ngokuthula yibona abaqhubeka bangena naye.
So these two, Sergeant Ufakazi and Sergeant Mabena, are the two that went inside the scene.
Did you see the two taking accused number 2 from the car into the premises of Moroka police station where Colonel Rapadu was?
Keep on solar with the Sergeant Mabena, no
So, because I was going to correct you to say it is not the two gentlemen, Mohane and Mabena, that took accused number 2 into the offices, but rather Jonathan has testified here that he's actually the one that got accused number 2 from the Fortuna and handed him over at Rapad.
So Jonathan was here now keeper in Fortuna, so to speak,
but now your involvement does not end there on the 19th of June 2020. Would I be correct, especially pertaining to the escort of accused number 2?
That is correct.
From Morocco, where else did you assist in escorting accused number 2 on the 19th of June 2020? Let me give you a background so
Yes.
that I don't intend to trap you. From Morocco, the escort then leaves at around 12 noon and you drive to Fosloras Magistrates Court. Remember, the initial trip was to Fosloras Magistrates Court. So you drive there.
That is correct.
Now, at Fosloras, did you see the condition of accused number 2 with respect to how he was handcuffed?
No.
And again, at Fosloras, at this time, there are certain transactions, although the tower shows undefined, but the times show that the phone was active, because if it's off, it don't show the time, but it shows. There were transactions on his cell phone again that we say we didn't have the phone on us. Let's move to the 22nd of June. In fact, from Morocco, and then let's just finalize this 19th of June. If I understood your evidence correctly, because I wasn't dealing with you in the trial, within the trial, is that you knocked off at 2 that day, so your escort duties ended at 2 that day at Fosloras Police Station. I mean, Fosloras Magistrate Court.
I think that is correct.
Yeah, because from there the Fortuna then leaves and goes back to Morocco, where Mabena says Mohane had forgotten his keys and memory stick or whatever, and they wait there from 4 until 6 p.m. But that's not your story because you are not involved. On the 22nd of January, accused number 2 is taken to the Tabane Magistrates Court, firstly to appear on a charge of possession of unlawful ammunition, and from there he's taken to Dr. Tlokwe to be examined orally whether or not he had previously had golden teeth on him. Did you provide escort services on this day? Do you recall this day? So 22 June 2020.
22 June. In 22 June 2020, umsolo eThabane la efanele khona ezolethala nelupa ngenkambi zesibhamu ezinekwenthethweni suka lapha kwathethwa iswa uDr. Tlokwe lapho-ke ayohlolwa emlonyeni kwakuthiwa wayenezinyo. I wasn't present.
My instructions is that you were present on this day, but if you cannot recall, again, there are certain transactions on the cell phone of accused number 2 who's in the presence of police officers who's classified as high profile, but he's got a phone on him. But I leave that.
Ngangingekho ngalolo.
Okay.
I was the president of the state.
And then finally, let's go to the 24th. In fact, as you see the interaction, he says, I must tell you and insist that you were present on this day, the 19th at Kabane.
And so now see the
You were present. Or the instruction of whatever he was saying, whatever he did. I don't recall him being there. Never. There was Mukhano there and Mabena.
But they were escorted, my lord, on those days.
But he says he wasn't there, and I say that evidence of on that day never mentioned this gentleman to be in Kabani. You can ask him if he ever escorted anybody outside Johannesburg for 4 hours of Benoni. Because Kabani is in the northwest. Ask him.
Muthelezi, let's ask according to the court. Have you ever provided escort services for accused number 2 to appear in Kabani Magistrates Court?
No.
If I may ask, which car were you driving at the time when you were providing escort services related to this case for particularly accused number 2?
Imoto engisebenzisa emsebenzini iBMW 125 emhlophe ene registration FT33GR Golf Papa GP. So uphendula inkantolo kafuphi angizange ngake ngenqa umzila wasekuruleni ngaya eNorthwest ngi-escorta umsola wesibili. Angazi.
No, the car that I drive is a 125 BMW, which is white in color. The number plate is
My lord, if I may approach you, please.
So, in short, I have never crossed the border of Gauteng into Northwest, accompanying accused number 2.
I mean, that's it, my lord. My instructions and accused number 2 will tell the court that on this day, you escorted Mohani and Mabena, and part of the escort was yourself, Mapumolo, in a hard-body Nissan motor vehicle, and also Jonathan's VW Golf GTI.
I'm sorry, speaking when I was a Lumukan, Namabena, when or Mapumu and a hard body, when I need to go to the number,
ake ngigcizelele okugcina lapha. Ujabulani kaButhelezi ome phambi kwale nkantolo khulu ukuhlonipha. Angizange ngenqa umzila wasekuruleni ngaya eNorthwest. Okwesibili inkantolo lokhuluma ngayo angiyazi. Udokotela lokhuluma angizange ngambona kwaseJudeni. So kuyiphutha nje okanye kuyihaba. Akulona iqiniso.
The witness appearing before you today, Ufakazi, has never crossed the border between border of Kuruleni and route to Northwest. I do not know the court that you are talking about, and this doctor that you have mentioned, I have never met. So this is a clear mistake.
Now, if I ask you regarding your SAP 206. When last were you issued with SAP 206s, the pocket books?
Yo, yize ngisakhumbula kahle kodwa yami yayisanda kuphela kuwona lawo malanga before le senzo leso ukuthi senze lo msebenzi.
Well, I don't remember exactly, but mine had just been finished on those days just before this happened.
Okay, then let's move to the 24th of June 2020. That is the day when accused number 2 was taken to Magistrate Vivian Grenier at the Boksburg Magistrates Court for her to obtain a statement. Were you present on that day?
So, as Magistrate Vivian Grenier, which I'm statement.
I
was present.
And which car were you driving?
Well, I'm
the BMW 125.
It was the BMW 125.
Now, on that day, did you sorry. In fact, let me track back to Fosloras a bit. On the 19th, the evidence led regarding the 19th of June 2020 is that accused number 2 was taken into Fosloras and then booked into the cell. There's a cell register to that effect to show that he was booked in the cells. Did you see how accused number 2 was restrained with handcuffs on that day?
19 discussing observation for Fosloras. It also speeding. Why is Fosloras of Cuba? We asked you to go to Sassy and also power
As man calls angikhumbule lo langa.
Okay, all right.
Unable to recall that particular day.
Yeah, then the 24th of June, you said you were present amongst the escort that was there. Listening has testified that he was there. Jonathan has testified that he was there together with others that did not give their copies of appointment certificates to the magistrate. On that day, did you observe accused number 2 in possession of a cell phone?
So again, on the 24th of June, we saw the magistrate who said, Jonathan, in the whole work, about now appointment certificate out. But one point, we saw that we were the phone and that. I did not.
My Lord, those are the questions that I needed clarity on. I'm grateful, thank you.
But no question to you.
My Lord, I have no questions.
Thank you, Madam.